Hey y'all, welcome to the Honesty Circle, the safe space for heart-to-heart conversations rooted in faith, discussing mental health, navigating adulthood, and all the things in between. It's your host, Sierra Elise, and I hope you're taking care of not only your mental and spiritual, but your emotional and physical health so you can be your best self this week. Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of the Honesty Circle. It's your host, Sierra Elise. How are y'all doing? I hope that you are doing great. And remember that God loves you, and I do too. So, let's just hop right on into this week's episode. So, if you don't follow the Honesty Circle on TikTok, then you definitely should follow it, number one. But number two, that means you missed out on the series that I did in the month of November, where I was soaking in joy and finding moments of joy in my day, basically. And so that's what the challenge was. And I try to make a vlog on it about every single day. Now, I didn't vlog every single day because we'll get into that, but life gets busy and it kind of got hard to record. But I will say that I was intentional every single day to like soak in a moment of joy or like, and have gratitude. So why did I do this challenge? So, November is the month of like Thanksgiving and gratitude. And I started to think about like, okay, I don't want to just like do just like, oh, I'm supposed to be thankful for something every single day. But it's like, what I think finding joy is like, when I think of it, it's like something that isn't like, I guess, happy per se, or what could be seen as like the regular, and then finding excitement or finding some like feeling of goodness from it. And so I was like, instead of like just being, like I said, being grateful, like why not be grateful for joy? But then it was like, okay, if I'm gonna be grateful for joy, that means I need to find the joy. And so that's kind of where it came from. And so I also felt that I was going through like coming out of travel season. It's always kind of difficult readjusting to being back home and getting back in routine, but also giving myself grace, and then work picks up. So like all of these things, and I'm glad that I started at the beginning, because when I say November went not a joyous, like outside looking in, like it looked like, oh, she's finding joy in her moments, but your girl was fighting for her life. So I want to really talk about like what this month has been of intentionally thinking about joy, what I've learned, what I've taken from it, and how I am really implementing this, I guess, like moving forward at this point. Like, it's not something that I just want to just like say, but like start actively living it out and living it out on a regular basis. So I think you always hear the phrase, right? Choose joy, choose joy. And I think it's like things that are common phrases like that, we often overlook them, or we forget to actually practice them. And so when you really think about choosing joy, like it's a choice, which means that takes intentionality, and you can't just like stumble into joy, right? Like it's a choice. And so when I think about it being a choice, that means like, if it's a choice, that means there was a choice to not be joyous, which means that there's likely something going on in which joy is not the feeling that is coming up, right? And so when I say that is the entire month of November for me, like very much so, maybe like, I don't know what it was. It's just like, I think I was just like super overwhelmed by everything, right? Like work was overwhelming. And then also like being in school with the podcast and everything else that I'm doing, like it was rare. I haven't felt that overwhelmed in a long time, and it was just taking me out. And I don't know why it was. I'm so sorry if you hear Zeke licking himself right now. I'm trying to get him to stop. And I don't know why it was so overwhelming, but like everything was just at a super high this month. And I'm glad that I had this challenge because it made me find the joy. And so, like the first thing I learned is like the intentionality of it. So like I said, if you have to choose it, it means there's a choice to not find joy, which means joy really only comes in the bad times, if you think about it. Like, if you're happy, like, if everything's good and you're happy, then, like, how would you choose? There's no need to choose the joy because the happiness is there, I guess you could say. No, I guess, like, that is what it is, right? And so with joy is really special because of the choice element of it. And I think that before this, like, whole month and this challenge, I don't think that I really learned or really knew what choosing joy for me looks like. Because I think we say choose joy, right? Like, different things bring people joy. People find joy in different things. But then also it's like, how are you going to find the joy if you feel like there is nothing to feel joy about? And so the intentionality part that I learned is that sometimes you have to create the joy in the day. Like, sometimes it's a super long day and you just have to find it. You have to make it up. Like, you have to dig deep. But I also think that comes from knowing what you enjoy in some form of fashion. Like, one of the days, it was a rough day and I left work and I had to run an errand, and I was leaving the errand and I saw the most beautiful sunset. It was like, oh my gosh, it was so beautiful. And then I came home, took Zeke out, and I see the sunset again. It was so beautiful. And I just, like, sat there and, like, was like, wow, like, this is just so amazing. I'm so grateful to be able to see this sunset, but then also, like, wow, God, you created that. Like, you did your big one on this sunset. So that was, like, one day where, like I said, I was annoyed. Like, I left work late that day, and in all of that, instead of being, like, annoyed I left, like, work late, I was like, no, I'm thankful, I'm grateful, because I'm able to have this moment where I'm able to see the sunset in this exact moment, in this exact space. And that wouldn't have happened if I left work a little bit earlier, because maybe I wouldn't be able to see it this well, or it would have been these exact colors. So it takes intentionality. And I think another part of this too is I realized that it is also your heart posture, because like, we all know that. I mean, I did an episode on this before. Like, your heart can deceive you. Your own thoughts and your feelings sometimes can deceive you. And so a lot of times, if you have to rely on what's true and rely on, like, what the reality is. And so in all of this, I say that because I had to realize that my heart and my feelings are always going to align with my current reality, and not always with what is to come or what is the truth, if that makes sense. So, like, an example, like, back to that, like, example where I was, like, leaving work, right? Where in that, when I say I was pissed leaving work, like, I'm not gonna act like I wasn't annoyed. I was very much pissed leaving work, and I was annoyed because I was staying late, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have stuff to do, and I still have so much to do tonight, and blah, 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 all these things. And so my heart was just, like, very, very, very cold, I would say. But then I was like, no, like, you know, how can I see something in this? And that's where my change in heart came from. And when you shift your heart posture, then your perspective also changes on what your reality is. Where right now it might feel awful, but with a heart posture change, what feels awful now, I'm seeing how this is something that is to my good or to my benefit, or seeing, like, you know, the glass half full instead of half empty. So that's, like, the heart posture change. But then also a shift in your perspective, which is similar to what I'm saying now, where it is not just sticking to the current perspective in which you're seeing the situation. It's, okay, well, what is not ideal? How can well, it's not maybe ideal. Do I want to stay like this? 'Cause that's another thing too I didn't realize, where I had to correct myself very quick and instantaneously, because if I allow myself to have that negative feeling to start my day, or to like not find any level of joy starting out, then it was going to continue the rest of the day. And then once it's gone, it's not that it's gone for good, but once it's gone, it's really hard to get back. Then also everything that happens to you is going to be perceived through that lens of, everything is like going wrong today. And so you really have to shift your mindset and be intentional every single moment. And like, oh no, I'm going to choose something else. No, shift my perspective. No, I'm not going to do that. But y'all, what also got me in this month was, I told y'all how, I don't know if I was telling y'all, I told someone on social media how I've been, really my time with God has been way more no plans, very much just vibing and letting the Holy Spirit lead and guide. And it has been so much better this way, because I've been able to really see things that I need to see in the moment. And I don't think I always did that, because if I follow a plan, and you just read what the plan says and that's what it is. And not that the plans, I don't go in depth with the plans, because not just the Bible study books that you have or anything like that. I just wanted to be more flexible and just genuinely let God lead and guide me through my Bible study. So first, one thing that kind of goes to the perspective and the heart posture change, something that has helped me and guided me in this, was Colossians 3 verses 23 and 24. So this is the NIV version, and it says, "Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters, since you know that you will receive the inheritance from the God as a reward. It is the Lord that you are serving." And so that has helped me so much when it comes to, like, right now we're in app reading season, and y'all, I hate reading apps because they're boring. Well, it's not that they're boring, it's just we read so many and I get tired of reading. That's what the number thing is. Like, actually, apps are interesting to read. But I had to realize, okay, how can I shift my perspective in this? How is me reading this app serving God? Well, it is serving God, because, it's someone else's future. It's to someone else. I'm serving somebody and helping someone, make their college decision. And so I had to shift my perspective in the mundane and in the things that I don't like. Because I feel like the things that you like, it's easy to feel excited about it, to feel that you are serving, to feel like something good is coming from it, or anything like that. And one thing I really liked about this too is that, it says that since you know you received the inheritance from the Lord as a reward. And one thing I realized about this too is, like, I was really thinking, I'm like, well, God, I don't want to feel like things I don't want to do is serving you so I can get a reward. But then I realized that the reward is not just the inheritance. Like, yes, that is a reward, but the reward too is the enjoyment of your now and the fulfillment of your now, instead of just feeling not really content or excited or anything about your current situation, status, task, anything along those lines. And so I feel like that also is a present time reward that comes from that as a, like, indirect thing that comes from it. Like, it's not that you were intentionally doing that, but it happens because of your perspective. Zeke is going crazy right now if you're watching. Another thing that has really driven me this month is James chapter 1, verse 2 through 4. And so, like, in the beginning of chapter 1 in James, it titles in the NIV version, Trials and Tribulations. And it was crazy that I read this towards the end. Like, I read this not at the beginning of the challenge, but it says, "Consider it pure joy, brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may mature and complete, not lacking anything." And so this is so good, because, first it starts off saying, like, consider it pure joy. So, like, the things that feel difficult, the things that you don't enjoy, the problems, the issues, the heaviness of things that you're experiencing, like, how can I find it pure joy in this moment? And it's not just like the joy, because a part of it's the joy of serving the Lord, but then also joy too is that it is growing me. Like I said in another episode, it's growing me, it's shifting me, it is helping me become the person that I say I wanted. And I think that's another thing that I had to also realize. I've always asked God, like, what is my purpose? And I've always wanted to know what that was. And it was something I was just constantly wanting to know, right? And I realized that right now is the developing of my purpose, because I'm seeing different things add up, come together in a way that they haven't before. And it requires a lot on me. It's not easy to, it's not easy to carry the weight or the heaviness or the difficulty in pursuing your purpose. Like, that's never going to be easy. And so I realized where it's like, girl, you can't even be mad at the trials and tribulations that you're facing, because you actually asked for it. You just thought it was going to be a different way and not come with a challenge. And it's coming with a challenge. But I'm realizing that I'm seeing the challenge as opportunity. I'm seeing the challenge as growth. And I'm seeing the challenge as, like, kind of fun, I would say. I was talking to my mom literally yesterday. And I was like, Mom, people be just telling me that they think that my life is so good. And I'm like, it's really not. Like, it's not at all. Like, I am fighting for my life. Like, I am busy with literally everything. I feel like can't think about, like, I can't think about anything, I feel like, besides all the stuff that I have to do all the time. And thank God a break is coming soon. But it's all so overwhelming and all consuming. With my thoughts, with my time. And I was telling her, I was like, and there's times in which it doesn't feel good, where I think that it's not joy all the time, right? Like, I don't always sit there and like, yay, I have no free time. There's times where it's going to be hard to digest. It's going to be hard to live with. It's hard to bear. And my mom was reminding me that it's okay to feel those feelings, that it's difficult right now, because she was telling me that, like, once you feel them and you stop trying to push them away, that way you're able to, they don't linger as long. And that's what she was reminding me. She was like, the days that are difficult, it's okay that they are difficult and that it's hard for you that day to choose joy in that moment. Let yourself feel those feelings of, like, what frustration, sadness, hurt, pain, whatever the feelings are that are not the, like, joy feelings that you are trying to feel. But, like, don't suppress those. Feel them, and then allow the joy to come after that. Because, like I said, joy only comes from the pain. And so feel those feelings so that way because joy's on the other side of that. So once you feel those things, I promise joy's on the other side. And so that is just, like, really what I learned in this time of, like, choosing joy and, like, finding gratitude in the season that you're in. Because I think, like, joy and gratitude are they're not the same, but they do go hand in hand, in my opinion. Because once you're grateful for the, like, things that might not be ideal, then there's joy that comes from that. So yeah, and I think that, like, this is something that I need to continue to practice moving forward. Like, I really don't want this to be, I did this in November and, like, I'm never going to continue. But I want this to be an always practice that I do, where I'm constantly aware of how I'm feeling, of my perspective, how am I perceiving this moment. And if I'm, like, negative and just, like, a Debbie Downer, then, like, okay, like, how can I shift that? How can I shift my heart, my perspective? How can I be intentional in what it is I'm perceiving in this moment, what it is I'm going to feel in this moment, and how I'm going to act? Because another thing too, it's like, when you're feeling those feelings, a big part of that is, how are you acting? Because the actions after is really what can lead to the most negative things. Like, in that sadness and that frustration, am I, like, acting out? Am I doing things I shouldn't be doing? All of those things, rather than feeling those feelings and then allowing me to, like, progress and move forward, and not doing any, like, self-destructing behavior. So That's how I want to kind of incorporate this moving forward. And I hope that you do too. And C's two cents for this week is going to be whenever you hear this episode, whether it is a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whatever day that it is, I want you to find joy today. And when the post goes up, when I post my C's 2 cents, I want you to comment what it is that you found joy in on that day or in the day that you see the post. Because we want to embrace joy together and encourage each other, because like not every day is going to be easy to find the joy. And so maybe seeing someone else's joy might help you find a joy that you didn't experience, or that you didn't. It might allow you to see a joy in your day that you didn't perceive as joy at the time. So you can take my advice or not. That is just my 2 cents. Thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode. If you like anything that you heard, please feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram, on TikTok. Our Instagram is at the Honesty Circle with an underscore at the end, and TikTok is just at the Honesty Circle. And that's it for this week's episode, and go conquer your week.